So previously with if statements, we realised that we could say something to the user such as, do you want to go on a quest? We would then store what the user wanted to do into a variable. In this case I've called the variable go on quest. Again, notice my capitals on the following first letters of each word. And in here we'll just say if go on quest, and we'll let autocomplete help us out here. If go on quest is equal to yes, if the user types in yes, then we will say that's fab. Now, what if they don't say yes? So we sometimes want to check to see if they say no as well. Now, there is one way to do this, which is just to have an additional if statement. If go on quest equals no, then and to be honest, we can probably copy and paste this because it's pretty much the same all the way through. If go on quest equals no, then we say that's a shame, and this will in fact work. Let's run this program again. Do you want to go on a quest? No. That's a shame. The problem comes with, what if the user doesn't give you an option you like? This comes down to having robust code. Robust code basically means that you will occasionally want your code to pick up, well, to make sure it runs no matter what the user does. We don't want to have any way that the code can crash. For example, in this situation, if the user doesn't write yes or no, then nothing happens in our program, which means our program isn't very robust. So we're going to start the development of looking at how we can make this a little bit better by learning about else statements. This is to say, if this is true, do that, if that is true, do that, and if none of those conditions are met, i.e. if this condition isn't met and if this condition isn't met, then we say anything else, say this. For example, we could say you must say yes or no. And to do that, we use an else statement. Now, else statements don't go on their own. So, for example, an else statement could go in here. Now, the cool thing about else, because it's anything else, we don't need a condition to check, because we're just saying if we didn't meet this condition, do this else. So let's just try that out. So let's say else, and we'll say text window dot write line, and this time we'll say you must say yes or no, you idiot. It's very pleasant because we met this first condition, and let's just check that that works. Do you want to go on a quest? If I type yes, it says that's fab, as expected. If we run it again though, and we say monkey, for example, it says you must say yes or no, you idiot. Now, what about if we actually say no? Well, it says you must say yes or no, you idiot, and it says that's a shame. So we've got a bit of a problem here, and let's have a look to see what the issue is. In this condition, because this is all one statement, because it goes from this if, and the whole of these statements don't finish until this end if. So it checked to see if it was equal to yes, and because it wasn't, it has to run this statement. But then it also checked to see if it equaled no as a separate question, and in this case it was able to run this statement again. This is a very, very common mistake with people when they're writing if statements. You don't want to have multiple ifs on their own if we're answering the same question. Instead, we have what's called an else if. Let's see if we can change this slightly. Else statements must always come at the end because we need to check anything that we want to happen, and if none of the conditions are met, then we run the else statement. So to solve that, we take this if statement and we paste it inside here. We don't need the end if on it anymore. And rather than it be if, it will be else if. Now I know I've shown you this the long way round, but the idea of it is so you can see the importance of making sure you don't write multiple if statements when you can use else if instead. So we're only asking the user one question here: do you want to go on a quest? And in this case, we can now say if the user says yes, we do this. If they didn't say yes, we'll then go and check the next statement. However, if they have said yes, we skip any other statements and we just jump down to the end if. If they don't write yes, and let's say they write no, then it doesn't do anything in this statement, doesn't do this job. It then moves on to this job and says, right, did they say no? Oh, they did say no, so we say that's a shame. And then it jumps straight down to the end if, so this statement doesn't run. However, if we didn't say yes and we didn't say no, for example, I say monkey, then it will go to the else statement and say you must say yes or no, you idiot. So let's just test that to make sure it works, and then we'll just tidy it up a little bit. Do you want to go on a quest? Yes. That's fab. Do you want to go on a quest? No. That's a shame. Do you want to go on a quest? Nick Cage. You must say yes or no, you idiot. Fantastic. And just to tidy this up, I normally don't leave any line spaces between my statements. Occasionally you might see that people just like a line between each one, but generally I think it's just easy enough to read like this. And the reason it's easy enough to read is because we kept our indentation, so we know what is inside which statement. So inside this if statement we've got this command. Now, just to clarify at this point, you can have more than one job inside an if statement. For example, if go on quest equals yes, then we'll say that's fab, and then we could also say something else. Let's go. So you'll notice that if we meet this yes statement, both of lines 4 and 5 will run at the same time. Well, line 4 first and then line 5, I should say. This hopefully gives you an overview of how these work as a whole. It is worth noting that the general structure could mean that we have multiple else ifs. So every statement must always have an if in it. If you're using if, else if or else, you must always have an if. You can or cannot have else ifs and have as many or as few as you want. So we could check for another word. So we could say, let's get another else if by cheating and copying the one previously. Else if go on quest equals maybe. We could say you don't sound sure. So one if statement. Else ifs, as many or as few as you want, you don't have to have them, and then you can choose whether to have a catch-all statement, an else statement, which will run if none of the other statements are met.